scriptures. Genesis 16. Praise God, praise God. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. When we get to a place in our life that the promises of God, you gonna walk with me today? Yes. All right. When we get to the place where the promises of God seem to be delayed, you know, it's easy to get a prophecy from God, and the moment God speaks, because God is always in the present, in the now. Remember Hebrews 11:1, now faith is. So it's always now. He's always doing things now. And because of that, when it hits our spirit man, it hits our spirit man with a sense of urgency, like it's going to be like today, or it's going to be like tomorrow. So the promise of God came to Abraham that he would make him a what? A father of what? Many nations. And Abraham waited on that promise, but without seeing no progress, without seeing no child, his wife being old, he's being older, and he's saying, I don't know how this promise is going to come to pass. God, you said you were going to do X, Y, Z. You will make me a father of many nations. You had me to look up. You had me to count the stars. You had me to do all of that, and still we're barren. So how many times that we're trying to reach our destiny, and the thing that God told us we could have is the last thing that we see in plain sight. Amen. Because every dream that we give birth to has to be proven. How do you know it's from God unless it has gone through a test? Because if you don't know, if God don't allow you to see the steps and the process that he takes to bring you to your blessed place, to your place of breakthrough, you'll never be able to acknowledge it if without it being a test. You can say, I know this is God. God needs us to be able to say, I know this is God. How do you know it's God? Because it couldn't be nobody else but God. And you begin to testify, because with that breakthrough comes a testimony. Every test turns into a testimony. Are you with me right now? And so here we see in verse 1, and we're going to skip around, guys, but just to set it up for you. It says, now Sarai, Abram's wife, bared him what? No children. And she had a what? A handmaiden. And the Egyptian, whose name was what? Hagar. So here, Sarai said, okay, all right, Moses, I've been waiting. Abraham, I've been waiting on you. And we ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got no eggs. You ain't got no, we ain't got nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something. Okay. So he's saying that's just to lighten you up. It's all this for your pleasure, really it is. So she's saying, we have nothing, but we do have a younger person here with something. And if you got a little something, she got something, we might be able to make her something. Not something, but something. We're going to get something out of this. You know the story. I'm going somewhere with this. So she gives her handmaiden to Abram. All right? Then she gets jealous. All right, let's jump to verse 4. It says, and he went into Hagar, and she what? She conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was what? She despised her. She's like, oh, no, you not. I've been doing this for X, Y, Z many years, and you going to go one night? Just one night with the king? Just one night, and you're pregnant? No, I can't deal with that. So she goes, and she begins to treat her harshly. Verse 6 says, but Abram said unto Sarai, behold, thy maid is in your heart. You told me to do it. Look, that's your maid. That ain't mine. I only followed your instruction. I'm going somewhere with this. Just followed your instructions. I did what you told me to do. I did it. God blessed her womb. She's pregnant. If you don't like it, you started it, you fix it. And that's the problem, is that when we're waiting on the promise of God, most of the time we take matters into our own hands and we left to fix the problem. And you know what's good about God? God will allow us to try to fix the problem. Because even fixing the problem or trying to fix ourselves or fix our lives or fix our families or fix our circumstances, even that is a proving ground to reveal what's truly in our hearts. Are you still walking with me today? Amen, amen, amen. So he says, as it pleases thee. And when Sarai did what? Dealt hardly with her or harshly with her, she what? She fled from her face. I'm going somewhere with this. Verse 7 says, and the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water, where? In the wilderness. But guess where that wilderness was? Sure, the same place that the children of Israel found themselves when they crossed over victory. Come on. The promise was you're going to get pregnant. You're going to be a father of many nations. She's going to be a mother of many nations. I'm going to do this thing, Abram. Your name going to be changed from Abram to Abraham. She's going to be from Sarai to Sarah. And this thing going to go and y'all going to be it. And then comes 25 years of silence. Nothing from God. No baby, no word. And all of that, guys, was a proving time to test their faith, to see if they had the stickability to believe God, even though it looked like God was a liar. So watch this. She runs from her blessed place, which had provision, remember? And she runs by the fountain in the way to what? Shur. And verse 8 says, and he said, Hagar. Right? And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou, and whither will you go? Angel of the Lord found her there, at the place of Shur. He said, where are you going? And she said, I'm running. That's Dr. Lee's phrase, but the Bible says, I flee. I flee from the face of my mistress, Sarai. Verse 9, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself unto her hands. When God wants us to learn a lesson, many times the first thing we do is we run from the place that is sent to prove us and to bring forth deliverance. The moment it gets uncomfortable, that's when we're running with our promise inside of our hearts. And God is saying all it's going to do is lead you to the place of bitterness. It's going to lead you to the wilderness. And he said, submit thyself unto her. And then I'm going to go to 11. And verse 10 says, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. In other words, I know you didn't ask for what you got, but I'm going to bless it anyhow. And many times, watch this now, watch this. We often preach, and us preachers and many churches have preached and in a negative connotation about Ishmael. And we don't want to birth Ishmaels, but I'm so glad for the mercy of God that in the midst of Ishmaels, God can still produce a blessing. Yes. And what God was trying to say, because you didn't cause this to happen to you, I intervened, I caused it. They're trying to do things in their own hands. I'm going to bless you just because you participated. You got to understand this. Now I'm going somewhere. She ran to the place in the wilderness called Shur. You're going to see it again, I promise you. And so he said, go back, because I want to teach you something, and submit. Go back to Sarai and submit. Do everything she tells you to do. Whatever Abraham tells you to do, I'm going to bless you, right? And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, thou shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, which means what? God hears, because the Lord had heard thy affliction. So in the midst of trouble, in the midst of an afflicted soul, in the midst of a bitter soul, God always hears. God always hears. And so because he's hearing what's going on, he's saying, I need you to go back. And so you know the story. She went back. And she stayed there. And then just to speed you up on it so you can hear the bitterness of soul, how even though she went back, she didn't change her mind. She didn't change how her heart felt toward her mistress. She kept the bitterness in her. And watch this now. And so here her baby comes about 13, 14, 15 years old. And here now he's competing with the promised child. Come on, the blessing now has shown up in the form of Isaac. And now she's having confrontation again with her mistress, and she said, no, you ain't gonna mock my son. You little, you know what? You're not going to mock him. I want you and your child out of here. Notice that every time there's opposition, opposition will always lead you back to bitterness. Always lead you back. Turn with me to Genesis 25. I don't have time to really break all this down, but I'm going somewhere with this, okay? Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Genesis 25:18. I want you to see the line, the correlation here. Let's look at verses 17 and 18. It says, and these are the years of the life of Ishmael. Now he's grown now. He's so grown, he's old. He was what? 137 years old. And he gave up the ghost and died. And was gathered unto what? His people. Well, where did his people live? Let's find out. Verse 18. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur. That is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren. Now watch this. So the fact that Hagar went there by herself, okay? She went to Shur by herself, being pregnant. And now you find that her lineage is also living in Shur.